Right, so I think this is the very first podcast entitled Good Evening, Ladies and Gentlemen. My name is Donovan Fernandes, and of course, with me I have. Yeah, Peter, that's your cue.
That's my cue. Okay, this is my first podcast as well. So I have been a guest on podcasts, but I haven't actually been a host. So my name's Peter Miller, and you'll have to excuse me if I seem as though I'm a student, which I am. Hi Donovan.
Hi, how's it going? You know, it's funny, like usually podcasts and podcasters, they're usually like in the same studio at the same time, but here we are on opposite ends of the world,
Mm.
Toronto, Australia, it's all over the place, but here we are doing something together.
Yeah, it's morning for me and evening for you, but it's all good. Um,
Yeah. Well, we still address it as good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Yeah, I have done breakfast. I used to have a bit of a contract with the Japan Society of Australia, and they ran breakfast meetings, and it was always a struggle because I was waking up and they were waking up, and it used to start. I used to get out of bed about 5:30 or 5, and then I think the meeting started about 7. So, and it was in the city, so I had to drive all the way into the city, and it was like coffee, 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 coffee.
Oh, coffee is the fuel for us, especially when you have morning gigs, of course.
Yeah.
But I guess this is the very first podcast for live event hosts, whether you're on the corporate side or you are on the wedding side. And I think we're going to be, running this series, juggling advice, tips, stories, the banter, just talking about both.
Yeah, well, it's
But
interesting you say live event host because there is a big distinction um, because what happens live is completely different from what happens in a studio and non-live, if you want to call it that. And non-live is really not what we do because you can go back, you can make a million mistakes, but on stage you can't. And part of my program is prepare, present, personalise, perform, and persuade. Prepare is the really big one because if you don't prepare and you're non-live, well, you can just do another take and another take and another take. But in our business, you can't. So live is a very important part of that description.
yeah, no doubt. And you know what? Whether you're performing for 4 people or 4,000 people, you know what? Exactly what you said. You gotta be prepared. But
Yeah,
also, even for like a wedding, you gotta be prepared to entertain, engage your audience.
yeah, yeah. So I had to kind of analyze what I did a couple of years ago, and I just came up with those 5 P's, and I think I've really thought a lot about it, and if they cover everything, and they do, and they just happen to come out as P's, which is pretty convenient. But prepare is number one, and I think that and I've been asked as an MC coach, how much do you prepare? How do you know when you've prepared enough? And I said, well, you never really know. You've just got to come on stage, and half of the stuff you prepare you might never use, and that's okay. But
Hmm.
but the stuff that you do use, because an MC is an expert at brevity. They're really, really the world expert at saying a lot in a few words with vocal variety and body language, but also actual words, what they say. And a speaker's got, oh goodness, they've got 3 minutes to tell a story or a joke, and the MC's only got about 10 seconds to tell the same sort of joke and have the same kind of impact. Um,
Yeah, but you know what? Like the crazy thing is, and I think that would be like another future episode just dedicated towards Peter Miller's 5 Ps. But like we have some listeners here, and I'm always wondering who is going to be listening to us talk about our role in the world of events and weddings. And, is it just someone just wants to hit the play button and and hear what we have to say? Is it someone that's already doing master of ceremony work and wants to pick up on a few things? Or is it someone that's really trying to say, hey, this could be it? Hey, maybe just as a side hustle, a side hobby, or a full-time thing.
Well, it's a beautiful way to use your public speaking skills, particularly in the industry that I've concentrated in, which is the wedding MC industry. And there's a lot of speakers sitting at home twiddling their thumbs on a Saturday night, whereas you and I are out there earning good money, having a great time, and
Yeah.
proactively using our public speaking skills in a way that brings a lot of joy to a lot of families, and also the big thing I'm aware of, and we've spoken about this before, is replacing the DJ who distracted DJ or the fumbling friend,
Hmm.
and you by making yourself by making yourself available, you're doing yourself a good time, but you're also doing the service of the wedding industry a fantastic time, and I'm um, in agreement with you that more and more public speakers are going, hey, this is a great side hustle. I can do this.
Yeah. It's like, I could have like a 9 to 5. I could still do this on the side and hey, make some extra, spending money
Yeah.
for me, myself, my family, whoever, you want to do it. But it's, I think this podcast being the inaugural podcast is such a great tool because when I first started, I didn't have anything. In fact, Peter, I had your YouTube videos, and I remember you just saying that like, it was this video. You were standing outside, and you know what? Maybe like you could put the link of the description if you can remember my description of that video. But it was just you, and you were just there saying, "Hey, I have the greatest job in the world. It's like, who says they get to party for a living or something like that?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, outside in, it looks like it looks like we're partying. And I guess within these podcast series, we'll go into the depths of the hard work that goes behind it. But you were just enjoying it. I'm just like, yes, I can enjoy it too. And that's kind of like where I started. And if you don't mind me asking you, again, this podcast series is going to be very educational for all those that are listening. But where did you get your how to?
Well, that particular interview that you referred to was really interesting because that was a contra deal. I was asked to MC the TV show called Wedding. Well, yeah, it was just called Wedding TV. It was quite a few years ago now, and I was the host for that. And so part of the contra deal was that I got a whole segment done. And so he turned up at one of my weddings, and he just flicked the switch on the camera and said, "Okay, talk about what you did." And that was really the first thing that came out of my head. I said, "I can't believe this. I'm getting paid really good money to have a party, and I love parties, and I'm getting paid to do this. This is the best job in the world." And that became a bit of a call cry, if you like, for me. And lots of people picked that up. It's the best job in the world. You get paid to go to parties? Wow. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
But
Uh,
if you don't mind, like, what got you into this? Like, what made you decide, hey, I want to do this?
oh, I didn't get into it myself. No, I was I was a corporate MC for a long time, and one of my clients just phoned me one day and said, "Oh, I put you up to MC my girlfriend's wedding." And I went, "Oh." I remember the phone conversation. I said, "Oh, no, no." I checked the date. I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm available." I said, "No, no, look, I've never been to a wedding. I don't know anything about it. I better say no." And she said, "You, you're the only one being put up for the job, and you're actually, I've told her you're going to do it." And I thought, oh, goodness me, she's my client. I can't say no. Then she said it's worth this much, and I went, well, I could probably. And I'm an actor, right? So actors are used to kind of jobbing, which means that doing
Yeah.
this and doing that and doing this and doing that. And I thought I could probably learn it from somewhere. And this is way before the internet. And luckily, I had enough smarts to ring a couple of people in the entertainment industry, and they talked me through it. They'd actually kind of been in that role, and thank goodness for that. And I turned up. Oh, and I turned up, and I thought, oh, this is terrific. All the people were dressed up nice, and I just loved it from day one. And from that booking, from that one booking, I just got booked and booked and booked because the venue manager came down and went, "Oh, a professional wedding MC." I went, "Yeah, that's me. Yeah, yeah, yeah." From that
So
day,
you just started
yeah,
going with the
yeah,
role right
I
there, yeah.
became a professional wedding MC from that night. And she booked me endlessly, and then I got double booked and triple, and that's how the agency came about. Because I couldn't let the bride down, I had to try and fill somebody. And one day I had a bride cry. She was a Wednesday, and she said, "Oh, can you MC my?" I said, "Look, I'm already booked." She said, yeah, but I went to a wedding last week and it was my friend's, and he had a friend and it was terrible, and she just obviously had all this tears held up, and she cried, and there was long silences on the phone, and I'm thinking, oh, come on. I said, look, I'm sorry, I can't help you, and I put the phone down. And I remember saying to myself, Peter, you can do better than that, mate. You've got lots of friends. Do it. So I phoned a friend called Gary, and he'd done a bit of comparing for me when I got double booked. And he said,
The other word right there, comparing.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
that's yeah. Not everyone knows that word.
no, it's true. Americans are very unfamiliar with this word comparing. Anyway, so Gary did it for me, and that started the agency. I phoned her back, and she was very happy. And he was the one that actually got my book to go, because I sent him some notes, and I sent them to him via express post. And I phoned him on the Monday. I said, Gary, what was it like? He said, oh, mate, what a great job. Oh, I love this job. You got any more? And I said, no, well, maybe. And he said, you've got to publish that book. Those notes you gave me are terrific. And he was the one that actually got me to publish the book. And that book gave me my career.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, it's a great read, and if it's still out there, which I'm sure it is,
well, hang on.
I encourage everyone to.
I've got
Oh,
it.
you got it.
Yeah, I've got it here, but it's an old copy. That's it there. See, it's got all this sort of garbage written on here, but that's it. And that still sells every week on Amazon. I get a couple of orders every week, and it was released 17 years ago. Isn't that amazing?
If you can't hear me, I'm giving you still clapping for you, man. Still clapping for you. So it's kind of funny. Just before we started, pressing the record, I was just going on like a little bit of a rant on on my Instagram, just because I find, I came on a different route than you. I started actually this Friday. I'm going to be doing a wedding here in Toronto, with the very first DJ I worked with in front of a live crowd of 1,500 people, well over 15 years ago, Peter. And I just went on nostalgia, and I started just typing kind of like my story. Hey, you know what? From then they put me into certain club parties, and I became a club host. And again, I didn't know the music too well, but I just had to learn. I had to show up an hour and a half before start time, stayed an hour and a half late. And back then, you got paid by how many people attended the party, not like weddings. And I remember sometimes even keeping my mouth quiet after not receiving any money at the end of the day, to keep professional, not burning bridges, to give people the benefit of the doubt. And I just went on, and then I came to the wedding part, like when I turned my eyes towards wedding emceeing, and I remember that quote. Some big hitters, even some of the big popular wedding DJs right now, I clearly remember them saying, who is going to hire a professional wedding MC? There's no such thing. Families could just do it themselves. And then after, my next message is a big wrong,
Right.
But for me, yeah, like my stuff started, a family friend called me saying, hey, our cousin can't, MC this wedding. It fell ill. Can you come do it?
So you started as a friend, and
I
you
started as yeah.
and you didn't do a bad job. There's just too many tragic stories out there, and it became like a cliche. Oh, the wedding was nice. The MC was terrible. The MC was really bad, really boring. I said, well, that's a shame, isn't it? Because those people have been dreaming. The bride's been dreaming about her wedding for all her life. And many people's aspirations and money and everything have gone into this thing, and they put it in the hands of someone who is really frightened, and that's not what a leader should be.
No, like the MC role, you are the nucleus, you are the heart of whatever event you are doing. You control there are so many mini jobs, so many hats you have to wear, and I don't think people understand the importance of the MC.
Yeah. Well, that's our job, and that's one of the reasons of this podcast, because I'm getting asked the same questions as you do about what's involved, and I put together the online video course and to do exactly that, and that's 2 years of my life, which is when I started off, I thought, oh, it'll take me a month, it's taken me 2 years, and I've just finished it now, because I think that if you're going to do it, you may as well do it really, 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 really well. And sure, a lot of people, I find, Donovan, make it sound as though it's hard. It's not hard at all. It's not rocket science. You being a wedding MC, you know that. But they say, oh, a lot of responsibility. Oh, you've got to prepare. And actually, that's a joy. The preparation, I love meeting the bride and groom and going, so, oh, yeah, And I walk away and they walk away from that meeting going, yeah, and I can't wait for it to start. And so you've
You
got to,
just saved their life.
yeah, you've got to flip the switch in your head and go from, to wow, wow, wow. And that's not that hard to do.
Yeah, no, it is not hard to do, but you know what? You have to be the right person for it. You have to have it in you. You have to have that little something. And you know what? Even me being a professional, I could swear by your masterclass, online service that even if you have that minor inkling saying, "Hey, I think I can do this,"
Mm.
I guarantee you, once you finish your class, you will have, you know, you will have that big kind of like confidence booster. It is a confidence booster. It teaches you all all the tricks, all the know-hows, and it's a very good course. Kudos to you. 2 years of your life is gonna open up years and years and years of, you know, life for other people.
Well, online courses are very popular now, and they're more popular now than they've ever been, and every day. But so where I'm living here is, and there's a lot of people earning their income from their teachers, just from the same sort of background as you, and they've gone into online courses, and they're making all their full-time income. Well, I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll do the same. I'm with these people; they can help me, and I made the Rolls Royce before I built the Rolls Royce before I should have built the scooter first, and so that's
Yeah.
why it was the first course I'd ever done, and I should have actually made a much more simple course about another thing that I do, but I'm sort of glad that I did it. I'm just a bit frustrated. It took such a long time, and I'm so finicky about it. I guess I shouldn't be apologising because ultimately it'll have a good it'll have a good result. But I wish I was just
Listen,
quicker at it.
I almost wish that this was around when I first started.
Yeah.
But but here's the thing, we're gonna be recording many of these podcasts, and this is only number one.
Mm,
And we have a list of topics that we are going to be talking about.
mm.
But it's come to that time where I think we should sign off,
Okay.
let the people digest it, and round two will happen next week.
Yeah. Hopefully,
But
we'll have a guest on board who's
oh
just written a
yes,
book. We'll see. But the
shall
problem,
we keep that a surprise for now?
yeah, we'll keep it as a surprise. But the
Let's
problem
keep it a
is,
surprise.
this author is in another part of the world, completely different from you and I. So we're going to have to try and coordinate our time zones. But that's good. The thing is,
Yeah,
Donovan, it's becoming a worldwide phenomenon. The
it is.
rise of the professional wedding MC is happening all around the world. It's not just in Toronto or in Sydney. It's all over the world. And that's a great,
Yes.
great thing. It's very exciting. And just the fact that this, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, is happening is testimony to that. And please, look,
Yes.
if you
You
have
know what?
any comments at all, any experiences or questions, please ask away. Ask Donovan or myself. We're only too happy to answer.
Yeah. Actually, how do you want them to contact you?
Well, I'm usually contacted through my website, speakerscoach.com.
Speakerscoach.com, and I'm www.imalltalk.com.
I'm all talk.
I have to
I
plug
love.
that in.
No, I love that. I love it because it's cheeky and and it represents you, and anyone who's seen you in action knows that you are a powerful performer and you deserve a powerful name like that. I'm all talk. I think it's great. It's a really a good sign of who they're getting.
Yes.
Um, and just tell us about, maybe give a bit of a hint about what's coming up besides our hopefully guest author. What can they expect
Yeah.
in future podcasts?
Oh, of course. Like, first off, how do you deal with those pre-gig butterflies, right? And I know that we have some stories to share about that.
Mm.
What are we gonna wear? What do you do when you get on site? You just go up there and start reading your notes? No, there's a whole bunch of things. getting drunk on the job. Do you do it? Shall we do it? I say for that one, we should have a couple beers and have that in us, right? And
uh,
then the travel part of it, learning cultures, just, you know what? We have like 50 of these, more than that. I'm just looking at our list. We have more than that. And I'm sure we're going to create more, and then maybe just a Q&A episode of all the questions and answers that, all the questions that we can answer.
mm.
But yeah, no, I think until next week, I always have to sign off by saying good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, no, I think it's good.
This is the podcast. Yeah.
It's good night, safe driving home. That's my sign off. Just
But anyways, Peter, good speaking with you. And till next week, my friend, we will speak again. But ladies and gentlemen, good night. And this was the Good Evening, Ladies and Gentlemen, the Event Host Podcast.